Well, how are you? Today, we're going to look at, in this series, Built to Last, we're going to look at the kind of character that we need to be developing if we're married or looking for if we're dating. I promise you, this is going to be one of the most important messages that you've ever put into practice in your life. That is going to be today. So today I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite books in all the Bible. It is known as the Song of Solomon. This is a 3,000-year-old book that tells us exactly what you and I need to know about finding that mate, dating, romance, marriage. We're even going to follow this couple in their life. We're going to follow them into the honeymoon suite. We're going to see them fight. They're going to have a little knockdown drag out. They're not going to like each other for a minute, and they're going to show us how to fight. But ultimately, what we're going to do in this book is we're going to follow as God shows us what it looks like to be committed to a person for a lifetime and the fruits and the rewards of that taking place. So let's dig into that. Today, we're going to talk about dating and developing for character. So this is one of those messages. I want you to think about what I'm doing here is in the past 20 plus years, I've counseled with dozens upon dozens upon dozens of couples. I've had the chance to see what things really mess us up. I've had a chance to see what things really affect marriages and what causes divorce, what causes dissension, what causes us to be miserable with each other. And what I want to do is I want to sort of pack together in what we talk about over these next few, talks is that I want to pack together the things that are real obstacles that will kill your marriage. I want us to have sort of like premarital counseling, marital counseling, terminal marital counseling, and postmarital counseling. We're going to talk about all that stuff in this message series. Today, this is one of those where last week we talked about dating. This week, we're going to be talking, we're going to go from dating to now it's dating. And I want you to think about, for the couples who are married, these are things that you need to be thinking about as well. But especially for you people who are single, these are some things you need to be considering, you need to be thinking about as you're out there on that dating landscape that's filled with landmines, y'all, that'll blow your leg off, your emotional legs off. So I want to talk you through it. So developing this character or finding or looking for the character if you're dating. I want to give you 4 qualities that we need to be looking for and developing in ourselves, and if you're dating, looking for in the person that you're going to date. And the first one is godly character. And by the way, as always, the outline is in the description. You can download that PDF, take the notes. It's going to be worth having this. This is worth, putting back somewhere, going back and referencing it again. But godly character. Song of Solomon, wonderful book, favorite book. Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 2. The woman says, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is more delightful than wine. Pleasing is the fragrance of your perfumes. Your name is like perfume poured out. No wonder the young women love you. This lady, she's in love, y'all. You ever seen somebody in love? You'll see them one day and they're, just kind of normal. And then the next day they're like a foot off the ground. They're like, oh, love everything. Everything's so good. He's so wonderful. That's where she's at. I mean, she's like blown away with this guy's love. Now, I want you to notice a particular statement that she uses in here, and I want to explain it because I think this is talking about that godly character. Not only does she find this guy uber attractive, emotionally fulfilling, but she has found something in him that's going to make their relationship way more durable. It's going to make it way more enjoyable, and it's going to make it worthwhile, and that's character. Here's what she said. She says, your name is like perfume poured out. Now, original text, it says that his name is like purified oil. In other words, she's saying your name, which by the way, the reference to a person's name is a reference to their character. His name and his character are synonymous. No one's talking bad about this guy. You want to know why? Because he has character. He's honest. He has integrity. He's loyal. He's committed. That's what he is. She says your name is like purified oil. You've got a pure name. You're a person who literally really has character. The word character in the Bible is the word karasso. That's what's used in the scripture originally. The word karasso literally means to be etched. When we find a tombstone in a cemetery, what we find is we find a stone that's etched with the names of people on it. Now, why do we use tombstones as grave markers? Well, because they last. That's why we do it. The Bible says character is like an etched stone. It lasts. I remember a number of years ago, I was at Camp Robinson doing a little bit of deer hunting. I was walking through the woods and I found a cemetery literally in the middle of the woods. Trees had grown up in the grave sites. And I found that that cemetery was from the 1800s. And guess what? I could still read the names. I could still see who was on there. I thought that's pretty amazing. But that's the testament to the firmness, to the resiliency of the stone to hold the name. This woman, when she finds this man, she says, you know what? It's not only that you're pleasing to my eye. It's not only that you emotionally fulfill me, but you have character. Listen to me. Men, ladies, whomever. If you're single, if you're not careful, you're going to find yourself wanting the things that the world tells you is important. Character is important. There is no substitute for character. Let me give you a second thing that they outline in Song of Solomon, and that's growing trust. There's a trust that's growing between this man and this woman. Here's what she says. This is the woman speaking. She says, dark am I, yet lovely, daughters of Jerusalem. Dark like the tents of Kedar, like the tent curtains of Solomon. Do not stare at me, for I am dark, because I am darkened by the sun. My mother's sons were angry with me and made me take care of the vineyards. My own vineyard I had to neglect. Now, she says, hey, I'm dark, I'm swarthy. Now, in this culture, being tan was a sign of you not taking care of yourself. It was a mark against the woman's beauty. The women characteristically kept themselves covered up. They didn't show their skin, and when they would unveil or take off their robe or whatever, their skin would be uber white. That was really, really beautiful, really attractive to them in this culture. She says, you know what? That's not me. I'm dark. I'm suntanned. I look like a Hawaiian tropic, commercial. Why? Because she said, I had to take care of my family. And what's beautiful about this, and one of the reasons why Solomon loves this woman, is because she was willing to set aside her own beauty and not take care of herself because she knew she had to take care of her family. Something's happened to her dad. He's not in the picture. Her brothers are supposed to take care of the family, but they didn't. And you know what she did? She stepped up and said, you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice my own beauty to put a mark against my own beauty by working out in the sun and working in the fields and doing whatever I've got to do to take care of my family. That tells you she's a woman that can be trusted. One of the reasons why Solomon loves this woman is because she put others in front of herself. She respected her mom. She cared about her family. She cared about the people who she lived with, and she took care of them. What a cool thing. You know, I think sometimes when you see people dating, I think they almost like when the person they're dating takes advantage of somebody else. You'll hear people say, well, he was dating this girl, but, he's really been out with me. As if that's a victory dance for you. If he'll lie and cheat on her while he's dating, he'll lie and cheat on you. You have this girl, you're like, oh man, she's really awesome, but she's disrespectful to her parents and she's hateful to her parents. You go, man, she's not awesome. Because when you're in a marriage with her, she'll be disrespectful and hateful towards you. That's a character thing. That has to do with this trust that has to grow. When you're dating, you need to look at the person, the whole person, with the blinders off and go, hey, wait a second, what am I seeing in this person? What am I seeing in their life? What's standing out to me? Here's the other part. For those of us who are already married, all of these attributes, these character attributes that we're looking at should be developed. I've been married for 28 years. I think it's 28. Pretty sure it's 28. It may be longer, but it's 28 or more years. It is 28 years. I'm pretty sure of it. Anyway, don't let Stacy watch this. Anyway, so 28 years that I've been married, and I'll tell you this much, and I've been a pastor for a number of years. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not recognizing parts of my character that I still need to surrender to Christ and grow in. We can grow in these. These are not natural talents. These are character attributes that we can develop and grow in. And this couple, they are growing in trust with each other. The third thing is they have a higher standard. If you're single, you need to set a standard. That's one of the issues. I'm going to tell you this. You're not ready to date until you're ready to be single. You're not ready to go looking for somebody else until you're completely comfortable with you, yourself, and acknowledge and understand, I don't have to have another human being to complete me. That's not what dating is. Dating is not finding somebody to finish you out. You are complete and full and completely together through Christ. God's given you everything you need. You need to have that. Why is that important? Because if you go into this dating search with you feeling like there's parts of you missing, you're going to compromise. You're going to set a different standard. You're going to begin to move away from some things that are really, really important. I want you to listen to what Song of Solomon says. This is what this woman says when she's talking to this man. Song of Solomon 1:7. Now remember, she's already said, dude, I love this guy. He's so awesome. She's enamored by him. But listen to the standard that she sets. She says, tell me, you whom I love. She's already said, man, I love you. You're awesome. Where you graze your flock and where you rest your sheep at midday. Here's what she says. Why should I be like the veiled women beside the flocks of your friends? There was a group of women who would follow these shepherds around, follow them around with their flocks, and late in the evening they'd come out to visit. The shepherd would find the woman and, Anyway, she said, I'm not going to do that. She had a standard. She says, you know what? I really, really, really like you. I really like everything about you. You are pleasing to me. My heart jumps and skips a little beat when I see, but here's what I'm not going to do. I don't like you or love you more than I love God and the standard that I've established in my life with Him. That's what she's just said. That is the kind of woman that you want to be with, sir. There is nothing more beautiful than character. I'm telling you, character is beautiful in the light or the dark. And this woman has it. She says, you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to meet you somewhere in the dark. I'm not going to go get in your back seat. I'm not going to go to a hotel room with you. I'm not going to be at your apartment tonight. I want to meet you where you and I can have a conversation, get to know each other, and things don't get out of hand. I'm not interested in that. If you're single, you need to establish a list of things that you will not settle for. And I see this happen a lot. Over the years, I've seen young men and young women establish that list, and then time begins to go. And especially for ladies, you've got this internal clock. You're like, oh my gosh, my uterus is about to turn to dust, so I've got to find somebody. And so it starts out and you're like, hey, I've got this standard. He's got to have work ethic. He's got to love Jesus. He's got to be on mission. He's got to, you've got all these great standards that you should have. And then time goes on and you're like, okay, does he have his front teeth? Is he on work release? I mean, you just boil it down, and then one day you just take whatever's there because you're so desperate. You don't trust that God has a plan for your life and that He can be trusted with that plan, and you compromise His standard. And you know what? When you compromise God's standard, He can't bless that. You need to be comfortable with being single before you ever date. Now, here's the other part. You need to have high standards if you're married. You really should. High moral standards, y'all. If you're married, there's certain things that you don't need to go see, that you don't need to do, that you don't need to say. You need to be developing these kind of standards. And sir, by the way, she set this standard as a single woman. But you know what? Men, we're off the hook these days. I don't know what the deal is, but men don't feel like they need to set a standard. You should have a moral standard if you are a single man. You are not a coyote. You are not a dog. You're not a cat. You're not just going out running and mating with everything you can find. That's not what we're supposed to be. Men, we're supposed to be men who represent Christ and we represent His character. That's what we need. We need a high standard. Let me give you a fourth thing. Consistent encouragement. This couple, their relationship's growing. There's this godly character that we see. There's this consistent encouragement. There's these high standards. There's a growing trust. You're going to see all of these things are coming together to build a relationship that's going to be built to last. Here's what it says. Song of Solomon 1:9. The guy's about to give her a compliment. Get ready, ladies. Fasten your seatbelts. Here's what he says. He says, I liken you, my darling, to a mare among the Pharaoh's chariots, horses. It's a great compliment, isn't it? Girl, you look like a horse. Anyway, that was a great compliment. The Pharaoh's horses were the most beautiful horses on the planet. They were very well respected in this day, okay? So you just have to understand, he's not saying you look like Mr. Ed. He's saying, hey, you are beautiful. That's what he's just said. He's just complimented her. Why is that important? Whether you're dating a woman or you're married to a woman, she should leave your presence feeling better about herself. I have, on more than one occasion, counseled with people where they're dating and she's either tearing him down or he's tearing her down constantly. You should be the voice of encouragement for each other most consistently. I find it sometimes that because of a person's self-image or their own inadequacies, they don't feel like that the person that they're with can be complimented. If they compliment them, I feel bad about myself, because you start feeling good about yourself. You're not allowed to feel good about yourself. Since I feel bad about myself, I want you to feel just as bad about yourself as I do. And so you feel like it's your obligation, because of your own broken self-image, to tear your mate down or tear your date down. It's a horrible way to live. Your husband or your wife should be constantly and consistently encouraged by words of affirmation coming from you. That's just part of it. You want to close the door on the possibility of your marriage breaking up or adultery or cheating or whatever else. Constantly fill that other person up with words of encouragement. Look for the opportunity to compliment them on anything and everything that you can. You're never going to go wrong telling somebody how amazing that they are. You're just not going to do it. This guy is complimenting this woman. I know for us, we said, oh, you called her a horse. No, this was really a compliment. She would have went, ooh, thank you. That's what she would have said. Now, verse 15 to 16 says, how beautiful you are, my darling. Oh, how beautiful your eyes are doves. How handsome you are, my beloved. Do you see how these two are loving each other? She doesn't feel inadequate. She doesn't feel broken. When she lifts him up, she doesn't feel lower. She feels like when she lifts him up, she's lifted up with him because she sees their relationship as mutually equal, and they're both strengthened together, and she loves the opportunity to encourage him, and he loves the opportunity to encourage her. So what's the results when we pursue this kind of character, develop this kind of character, and we do these kinds of things? Here's the results. She's going to feel special. Guys, you want her to feel special. You want her to feel incredibly special. You have been given a gift, whether you are dating this woman or you're married to this woman. She is a gift to you, and she needs to be encouraged by you, and she needs to feel special. Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 1 and 2 says, I am the rose of Sharon, a lily of the valleys, like a lily among thorns, my darling among the young women. She feels good about herself. You know what? You're going to hear enough negative stuff coming into your life. The world's full of negative people, but you don't hear very many great compliments. You don't hear much encouragement. She feels special. Why? Because you know what? He treats her special. He makes sure that she doesn't have to worry about trusting him. He makes sure that she understands what his focus is. He makes sure that his character is in place. He's making sure that she feels special. The second thing that happens is she feels secure. Like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my beloved among the young men. I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste. When she talks about sitting in his shade, she's saying, you know what, there's this canopy of protection that I experience and feel when he's in my life. Listen, this goes both ways. Ladies, I'm going to tell you something. Being a woman that your either fiance or husband can trust is a beautiful thing. I was counseling with a couple a number of years ago. They were having lots and lots of marital trouble. And we were talking about some of the stress that he was facing. And he said, you know, I'd really like to get away, but I can't. And I said, well, why can't you get away? He said, because if I can't trust her. And they just went into it just openly. He said, she'll go out and go to a club and go to drinking. And he said, she'll go home with somebody. I said, what? So that's what you've got to think about when you leave town, that your wife is going to go to a club, she's going to drink, she's going to lose all inhibition, and she's going to go home with another man. That is misery. But let me tell you something, y'all. That starts when you're dating. You got to look and you got to be honest with what you're getting. You have to look at that person. You have to look past skin deep. You have to look past emotional fulfillment. You have to look past the things that are fulfilling you, and you have to ask this question. Does that person have godly character? Is that person trustworthy? Are they growing in encouragement? Are they encouraging me, and am I encouraging them? These are big deals. If you don't, then there won't be security later. Again, if we're married, though, these are things we continue to develop. Look what it says in Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 5 and 6. It says, strengthen me with raisins and refresh me with apples, for I am faint with love. His arm is under my head. His right arm embraces me. This woman says, this dude, he is amazing. Not just based on what he looks like, but how he acts, his attitude, what he says. She feels that way about him. He feels that way about her. That is the ingredients of something that's going to be built to last. You know, there's a lot more. We're going to get into this courtship phase and engagement and marriage. We're going to get into all that in the messages that we've got in this series coming up, and we're going to talk a little more about it. I got some funny stories I'm going to share with you that they'll be embarrassing, but they'll be funny. So anyway, until next time, here's my prayer for you. My prayer is that you look at some of these things God's given us, put them into practice, and let's see God build something that ultimately will last. God bless you.